Hey everyone, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and I'm going to do a little bit of a live stream. It's a little bit different today. I did one of these before, and it was actually really, really helpful for me. So I don't go to many events. And so basically the idea behind this show is I'm going to break down the player pack that we have for an event I'm going to tomorrow at Man Overboard Games in Lake Stevens, Washington. And kind of dissect it. I'm going to show off my list. Just force myself to look at these scenarios and decide what works and what doesn't. So as the chat fills up, please let me know if you can hear and see me okay. As always, I do have some chill music in the background just to kind of break up the ambiance. If it's too loud, let me know. That would be really helpful for me. And just gonna kind of dawdle until I see people in the chat, make sure everything is working. So that would be super, super awesome. Let's see here. Sounds good. Okay, sounds awesome. Okay, for some reason the chat over on Twitch is having trouble connecting, but we'll try that in a bit. So as long as YouTube's working, that's where most of my audience is. We'll get that working. I'll play with the other stuff later. So awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead. And first thing I'm going to start off is looking at my list, because of course it's my toolbox, right, for what I'm bringing. Now, one thing I want to see at the very top before we really go into the items here. I started Stormcast because I reached a point where I was like, it is absurd that I paint so many models then I don't have a fully painted army. It is unexcusable. And so I just got really frustrated with myself for trading armies. I'm going to do a dedicated video talking about the Stormcast and what brought me to them and the paint scheme and all that stuff like that. But put it really shortly, this, with the models I had, was the fastest route to a 2,000 point list so I could at least bring a painted army to an event. And that was really important to me because the last event that I went to, I didn't. And I was like, this sucks. And so... yeah, so we'll run down here and I see the chat. Okay, Austin, thank you so much. Sounds good. Lehman Russ, been working for the last 12 hours. This stream is exactly what I need to make it to the last 4. Well, I certainly hope it helps, my friend. Let's see. So we have the Celestant Prime up top. Adrian, hello. And he, like I said, he's a points filler right now. He looks great. He's a lot of fun. Have not had him do anything remarkable in any game so far. I've played 2 games with him. He gets punked both times. Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. And he's going to be my general, so I get Sequitors as battle lines. Also, I didn't put it here. I forgot to do it. I can change it later, but I'm taking the Celestial Vindicators Storm Host, which kind of assigns my artifact and command ability and all that kind of stuff like that. The reason I'm doing that, quite frankly, is to make this as easy as possible, and so not bogging myself down with choosing things. So yeah, let me adjust my mic here, pick it up a little bit, and tighten this screw. There we go. It's at a comfortable speaking height now. And so yeah, that's why I'm doing that. You don't like the benefit, the command ability for Celestial Vindicators is can spend a command point, pick a unit, and they get +1 attack to all their melee weapons, which is really actually very good on the Lord Arcanum and Griff Charger. And also he has a baller artifact weapon. Below him is the Lord Relictor, probably going to go with the Translocate prayer. And something I learned last night playing a game against Jack is that priests can cast the prayers they have on their war scroll in addition to the prayers in the list. Like I said, I don't use a lot of things that have priests, and so this is actually super new to me. So yeah, very versatile unit for 100 points. He's kind of my favorite hero. And then the last one is the Lord Ordinator. Partially there for Battle Shock if things go really far south with the Sequitur blobs. And of course, I have 2 ballistas later on, so he'll be buffing them. I've gotten some pushback because people are like, you're paying for a Lord Ordinator, but you don't have 3 ballistas? It's like, I don't want 3 ballistas. So anyway, there's that. In addition to that, I got 2 units of 10 Sequiturs and 5 Judicators. That all makes up my battle line. 5 Evocators. I did have another box of 5 I could have built, but I just didn't think I could get them painted in time. Now that I just finished my project, the whole thing, about 20 minutes ago, so I know that I did not have enough time. For War Machines, 2 Ballistas, and the Endless Bell Everblaze Comet, which I just finished. You can go see it on Instagram or Facebook right now. I just posted it. Sum total, 104 wounds of nastiness. So, my general plan here, to be honest with you, is I'm unsure if putting the Prime in the sky is always the best option. I think sometimes starting on the table is just quite all right. But yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of what I have, so it's what I'm going to work with. Doing a big shield wall with the Sequitors while everything else kind of does the shooting. And the Comet is awesome. So let's take a look at this player pack. Okay, before I go any further, I'm just going to ramble for a little bit. Any questions about the list as far as that kind of stuff goes? I don't get an extra command point, which I'm kind of bummed about. But, yeah. Let's see. Your reason for Stormcast Eternal is exactly the same as mine. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, it's about 4:35 p.m., so good afternoon / evening to you all. Okay, so I'm going to move into the player pack. So, it's being put on by a group that I've never done a tournament with before. And just to kind of give you a sense of what, it's more of a narrative-ish type thing. So battle points, if you win every game, major victory, table your opponent. It's only 7% of your grade or your winning score like that. You got sportsmanships, painting, and bonus, which we'll talk about later. Real quick question from Bill Wilson. Are you worried about General's Handbook coming out soon and nerfing your shooting stuff? Not at all. This is the stuff that I built because I have it and I needed a quick army. But the things I'm going to be painting going forward are all the things that are quote-unquote rumored to be going down in price, which is specifically Vanguard Chamber. So, not really. I don't worry about anything. Soul Snare Shackles are worth trying. Let me think about that. Alright. So let's see. Anyway, so this is cool. It's more relaxed on the competitive advantage, that kind of stuff, and much more, I would say, holistic as far as the hobby goes. Sportsmanship painting scores are being really high. As far as the scoring sheets, they have your battle plan scoring. So if you get a major victory, minor victory, that kind of stuff. They also get your sportsmanship grade. And there's a few kind of objectives that you can get. +1 for slaying their general, +1 if your general survived, and +2 if you finished the game, incentivizing people to go to natural conclusions of a game, which is actually really cool. This is like a player pack and like an organizer pack in one, so you'll see what I mean in a second. So this is how you can, grade your opponent, keep track of all that stuff. Gives you the paint scoring sheet. So let's see. Tabletop standard, basic painting, 3 colors, shading, highlight, character, scene. Okay, so I got all the tabletop standard, extra mile. I don't know what advanced basing is. I have no conversions. I assume layering means like building up color. Yeah, I don't know. So everyone has their eyes done on my models. That's nice. Great thing about Stormcast is a lot of them wear helmets. Yeah, so I don't know. You know what? I'm happy with my army. I'm not worried about the paint scoring, to be perfectly honest with you. A quick thing to note, Hobby Hawk Studios is a commission painting service, and they are the ones running the event. So I have no idea what like the level of painting talent is going to be. It could be absurdly good. And the bonus stuff is like, have you practiced these things before? Have you... did you clean up after the event and help people get cleaned up? Yeah, it's kind of more ambiguous stuff. So let's see here. We got scorekeeping. This is for the judge. There's scorekeeping, pairings, and then we go into the actual missions. So, round 1. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in chat here. If Stormcast get point nerf with the crazy stuff out there right now, I'd be surprised. That is actually a solid point, because people complain about evocators, but against Slanesh, when they hit second or last, evocators aren't that great. And so I think there's just a new power curve. Ballistas are probably going to go up. Bill Wilson, speaking of Vanguard chambers, are you concerned that Stormcast releases are very compartmentalized and one-off? I don't see them re-releasing new Vanguard stuff. But I do see new Idenith, for example. I have no idea. I'm just gonna... I'm doing Vanguard because I like the models that exist, and if the new stuff comes out, that's awesome. So, let's see. Alrighty. So, we've got Blood and Glory for round 1. You can see the table deployment there. Splits it in half. With a dotted line in the center. Let's see. Yeah, 1 second. My music's getting a little crazy here. Okay. The battle is fought to control 4 objectives. The objectives are located at the center of each quarter of the field. Okay, split up into 4 pieces. Got it. You win a major victory if blah blah blah. Or the amount of time allocated for playing. The player that controls the most objectives wins a minor victory. So I want to control all 4, but a minor victory is controlling more than my opponent. And if both players control the same amount, the value of enemy units destroyed. Okay, totally get it. So looking at the deployment here, so obviously all of my theory crafting is based on what the table actually looks like in terms of terrain and that kind of stuff. My thought with this one is really honestly to put my shooting units, drop them down from the sky in pretty much the dead center of the board if I can, and try and clear off a bunch of chaff and junk. I guess, let me look at my list here. Because if I throw 10 Sequitors who buff their shields on both my objectives, they're a tough nut to crack, especially if there's other stuff happening across the board. Probably hold back the evocators and the relictor so I can translocate across the table and try and seize one of his objectives. Yeah, I think the first order of business is going to be trying to thin the numbers. So that's by shooting, by the Everblaze Comet. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I put the Celestin Prime in the sky and wait for him to power up his hammer? Or start him on the table so he can be shooting his thingamajigger every single turn that does D3 mortal wounds to every unit within a specific point. So I'm very curious about that. So what are you guys' thoughts? Let's see. So this one I'm actually not super worried about. Now, everything does have Realmscape features and all the magic and stuff. So let's take a look at that. So this one is Steel Rain in the sky for 5 turns. Jack with reeling ones is going to lose if we play each other in this round. Start your hero phase. Roll a dice on a 6-up. Pick an enemy unit that is not in cover. Roll a dice for each model unit and inflict 1 mortal wound for each roll that is less than that unit's save characteristic. And a save of dash counts as 6. Let's see. Okay. So it goes off on a 6. It's not a big deal at all whatsoever. Might come up once or twice. Let's see. I think you try to hold on at least turn 2. Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. See if the shooting can thin out some of the numbers on the table and then bring the prime down to clear off objectives and that kind of stuff. What do you got? Realm commands. Adapt or die. Uses command ability to start a hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly unit within 3 inches of a friendly hero or 12 inches of your general. Until your next hero phase, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the model unit. And a 6-up, it's negated. Okay, so it gives them a 6-up super save. Let's see. Omniphage. Yeah, it's got a lot of wording on that prime one. So let's see here. And the spell Transmutation. of lead. Casting value 7. If cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. So your next hero phase, have the movement of the characteristic of the unit you picked, rounding up. In addition, if the unit has a save characteristic of 2+, 3+, or 4+, until your next hero phase, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that target them. Okay. Certainly the movement modifier is going to be incredibly important when it gets late game, specifically, and we're all trying to dash for objectives. One thing that I have found useful that I love, and I cannot wait to get the Vanguard Chamber built, is the Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. Ride the Winds Etheric is awesome for just dashing to places and trying to get an objective. It does require, like, you have to be outside 3, but eventually I'm going to have Paladors that can do all kinds of cool stuff like that, so very excited for that. Like I said, this one, thin out the numbers, round 1, going into round 2 probably, because we don't even score stuff till the end. Like, all that matters is who's around in the end. So that's kind of actually good for me. Just got to keep the Relictor alive so I can translocate. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, does anyone have any good ideas for me as far as how to do this one? That's my thought. My thought is drop my shooting base here in the center. Towards the back, have Evocators and a Relictor be buddy systeming it. Sequitors on my objectives. A Beef Mountain of shooting up front. I wish I had more like bodies, but unfortunately I just don't. You know, like, actually I might put the Judicators on one of the objectives and have the 10-man Sequitur block come down in the center with the ballistas, and they act as a big wall, and all the shooting's behind it, and just let them chew on Sequiturs for a while the shooting blows them away. Actually just slamming the shooting base on an objective, not the center. Well, here's the thing, right? The problem is with the shooting, wherever it comes down, it's pretty much there the rest of the game. So if I have him like here, we'll take this back objective really quick. If he's sitting here on the back objective, there's this whole section of the left side of the board he's not going to face. And even if I split them and do 1 and 1, I guess what I'm thinking when I say this is I want to delete as much numerical numbers from my enemy as possible, because that's what caps objectives, is how many people are closers. So I don't know. Here's my advice if you want to win: bin the Stormcast and go get the Skaven off the shelf. Try and hold on to 1, murder the people off 2 it can see. But it can only see 1 if it's parked on 1. There's no way it can reach the other 2. Okay. I don't trust the coming down from this guy. I fail most of my 9-inch charges. Alright, we're going to move on to the next one, which is actually one of my favorites in the game. It's shifting objectives. And if you're not familiar with that one, basically the table looks like this. We deploy on the longest sides, which is really good for me when it comes to the shooting thing. The basic idea here is there's 3 objectives that are all equidistant apart. They're all 18 inches from the next one. And every single is a battle round. At the start of each battle round, yeah. You number them 1, 2, and 3, and a D3. One of them is worth 3 victory points. The other ones are worth 1. So you want to control them all, but only one of them is super duper valuable. This is actually one of the better ones that I did with Skaven at the last event. But I want to bring a painted army, so I did this. So as for this one, in this case, I probably would do the ballistas at the far end ones, because it's only 18 inches to the center one. They can at least both turn inward if they need to. And we can make that middle objective. Like, I can concede that one and make it a killing ground under the guesstimation that at some point it will not be that middle one that's worth 3 points. So yeah. Let's see. And that's pretty much it. So how does this one score? I think it's every single turn we calculate. Player with the most victory points at the end of the 5th battle round. Yeah, so we count every single turn to see how many points you get. But at the start of each battle round, that's when we determine which objective is the most valuable. So that's interesting. I almost kind of want to go second on this one so I can see where it is and where my opponent got to or he didn't get to. So let's see what the Rumscape thing is. Flaming missiles improve the rend characteristic of missile weapons by 1, while the range from an attacking unit to the target is more than 12 inches, which only buffs the thing I was just talking about, right? You put the ballistas on each corner, on each side objective, and then they can open up a killing field. Again, it's going to be more than 12 inches to the center one, and you're staring down the barrel of some serious rend from a ballista, and that's not good. Rum commands. Let's see. Uses command ability start of movement phase. If you do so, pick a terrain feature that is within 12 inches of a friendly hero, 3 inches of another unit. On a 4-up, terrain feature is set alight. If terrain feature is set alight for the rest of the battle, any unit with models in or on their end of that movement phase suffer D3 mortal wounds. With models in or on, suffer D3 mortal wounds. Let's see. Only the Celestin Prime cannot fail a charge. He just gets to say 12-inch charge, right? So the Celestin Prime, let me see, because how that's worded is important. I guess I could just go up here and type. Oh. There he is. Let's take a little look. So basically, once per turn, you can choose one of the following dice rolls. You can change one of the following dice rolls to a roll of your choice. And it says, yeah, right here, 1 charge roll for this model. Now, let me ask you this. When I hear 1 charge roll, my mind immediately goes to 1 dice. Is that true, or does it mean the actual entirety of those results? So if I roll 2 dice, I get a 4 and a 3. Am I changing one of those, or am I changing both of them? So someone answer me that. It doesn't drastically change what I want to do, but yeah, if I can get an answer for that before I go, that'd be really cool. And the spell is Fireball, which is basically a better arcane bolt that gets better if it hits bigger units, which is really, really nice because dealing with hordes is going to be an issue for my army. Faux show. Let's see. A charge roll is both. Thank you, Ben. I will keep that in mind. That's actually super duper useful. 1 roll determines the range or number of mortal wounds for this model's Comet Scepter Strike. Alrighty. Thank y'all. Let's see. So we're back here. Honestly, this is a fun one because this is a mission where this is the kind of thing where I thrive at, where it's just being very fluid, right? Just try to get the objective as much as you can, and then kind of there's a little bit of luck involved when it comes to which one is the primary objective. But I like it. This is actually one of my favorite missions that they've come up with. Shifting objectives. Anyway, it's also the one I'm probably the least scared of in terms of I feel very comfortable with the mission. The buff to shooting. It's the ballistas and the adjudicators. Yeah, they love it. So yeah, let's move on to the last one. And the last one is super interesting. So this is sort of a narrative event. I think they're doing... I can't remember if they're doing Best Coast pairings. So this one is the Shrouded Storm Vault. It is from a White Dwarf magazine talking about... I believe it's a White Dwarf. Yeah, White Dwarf mag. And so thematically, it does include wild Troggoth. So they deleted that. He blacked it all out and says right there, we are not using the wild Troggoth rule. Ignore that. But functionally what it is, you get a map like this. So the table is just straight up cut in half, and there are 5 objectives. You get two on each side, and then one in the absolute dead center of the board. And so what this thematically is representing is you have to light all 4 torches on the perimeter, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the secret entrance to the storm vault will be revealed, which is the one in the center. Okay, the way that they've taken that narrative concept and turned it into a mission is that at the end of your movement phase, we played this last night, me and Jack, and it was hard. So the way it works is at the end of your movement phase, if there's a hero within 1 inch of all these 4 outer ones, you roll a die. On a 2-up, that torchlight is set ablaze. When they're all 4 set ablaze, doesn't matter by who, then the center objective becomes active. Each of the 4 perimeter ones is worth 1 victory point. The center one is worth a number of victory points equal to the current battle round. So this one becomes extremely valuable towards the end of the game. And these ones are your kind of slow burn accruing things over time. So the problem, right? And so that's a really cool idea, right? Light the torches, and then whoever ends the game, really commanding entrance to the storm vault would thematically win the mission. I totally dig it. In addition to that, and I think we forgot this on one round, but for the most part, it didn't matter too much. At the end of your moon phases, you roll a dice for each. No, that's not it. What lies in the shadows? Here we go. At the end of each battle round, roll a dice for each unit on the battlefield. On a 4-up, 1 model from that unit is slain. Heroes and monsters suffer D3 mortal wounds instead of being slain. Any units wholly within 12 inches of an activated torch are not affected. So the idea is you're lighting the torch, and that gives you a little bit of light, and if you're in the shadows, you take damage, you lose dudes, that kind of stuff. So very thematic, kind of insane. We loved it. I would love this for a narrative game. Now, a few problems with this mission that I need to bring up with the TO before the event starts. The battlefield setup and all that stuff like that, it doesn't say anything about being any kind of distance away from your opponent's territory. It just talks about, let's see, wholly within their own territory, and you just alternate. So last night, Jack from Rolling Ones put his corn altar basically on the dead center point of the table because he totally can. It is his territory, and there's nothing about being outside from mine. It was right there in my face. So that's something we need to clarify. We decided to play it as like 12 inches from enemy territory, which is kind of a good standard thing. So we both kind of set our line of deployment at that kind of 12-inch mark up the board. So yeah, that one was a little awkward. We had to kind of put that together ourselves. But the rest of it I'm super on board with. What I'm less on board with is that it's set in Ulgu with the impenetrable gloom rule, which is the maximum range of attacks and spells is 6 inches. And of course, if you look at my list, Celestant Prime can still shoot his little, or bring down meteors because it's not a shooting attack. Lord Arcanum spells, the Everblaze comment is almost useless. Judicators, Ballista, all of them super rough. Let's see. Hugh. Hey, Hugh. Omniphage. Doesn't the corn altar say something about not being that close to an objective? I assume his altar was cool. I have complete trust. He's great at reading rules. There's a difference between territory and deployment zone. Okay, maybe I got that wrong. I don't know what I said earlier, but yeah. So let me see. Olku traits are dumb. So my thing is, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. So obviously, a lot of the folks who watch this channel are also fans of Rolling Ones, and they've seen Jack's Shootcast, which is a all shooting army. Like, it makes mine look like it doesn't bring a gun at all. And this is my first army where shooting is kind of its jam, shooting and magic. This realm rule, it sucks. One that I really do like is Perpetual Dark, which is the same thing. It's just 12 inches instead of 6. The thing is that I think about armies that are really good at one thing. Like KO, why would he come to this event? I have KO. I'm not taking him off the shelf for this. And that's really a bummer. I think the 6 inches one was so punishing. I would like the 12 and I like the 18. But yeah, I don't know. And you got the rum commands, which are a little more complicated when it comes to these two rum rules. I'm going to skip those because I have no intention of memorizing them. Mystifying Miasma has casting value of 4. If cast, like an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that deals with them, that unit cannot run until your next hero phase. In addition, subtract 2 from the charge rolls. That's pretty cool. So, I just... the problem is, I see a lot of TOs choose stuff like Impenetrable Gloom, and they say, oh, it's okay, it's fair, because the mission before it, right, the Flaming Missiles, buffs shooting. So it's like a fair thing, right? In one mission you get a buff, and the other one you get a minus, and that seems fair. The problem is, your army was already going to shoot. It's its baseline, it's going to shoot. Giving it a minor nudge by rend 1 at more than 12 inches is a yes, it's a buff, but it's a minor one because a lot of shooting happens up close, at least in my experience. The debuff of only being able to do so outside 6 inches is so drastically like unequal to the buff that you get from Flaming Missiles that it shuts down the function of many units in the game. I'm not talking about Shootcast. I'm talking about Character Overlords or a Cunning Ruck that isn't even necessarily all arrow boys. I'm talking about anything that has any kind of shooting. It's just a real bummer. Anyway, but what I am going to do is do what my hero Jack did, which is instead of being a whiny little brat and just not going to an event, I'm going to go to an event, see that it sucks, and then respectfully tell the TO, thank you for running this, you did a great job. I don't like this mission, and I'm not going to come again if it's there because of XYZ. And that's what you do. You go, you try, you support your community, and you give valuable feedback. So that is the plan. We played this last night. It was my Stormcast versus Jack's Corn. And in his corner is actually very interesting. It's a Bloodthirster. It is a Brass Stampede. So he allied in some beautifully painted by Mark from Reeling Ones. His bunch of bulls, Doom Bull and Warherd stuff. And then there was a battalion. And Jack, if you're in the chat, I don't remember what the battalion was. Bunch of Slaughter Priests and a dude with a banner. I don't remember. But basically how it panned out was because I couldn't touch him like with any kind of shooting, any kind of magic, nothing like that, at least until turn 2, if you let a Bloodthirster get on you without any kind of shooting or harassment like that, he just decimated me. At the end of turn 2, we shook hands because at that point, everything was dead. And on his side, he hadn't even activated any of his objectives, but we just looked at the table and I had nothing left to even hold my objectives. There were still 3 turns where he could take and light every torch and then just sit one remaining Blood Reaver on that center altar. And yeah. And so it was just, it shut down the game so hard, this Realmscape feature. So, I guess what we kind of decided is we're going to do that same thing that I mentioned the first round, which is all that shooting stuff that I have, it's pretty useless, to be perfectly honest. Initially, Jack had suggested, like, well, why don't you take the ballistas and have them sit on an objective because they're not useful to you in shooting. And the problem with that, with this specific mission, and this is like the interesting thing about it, is that the heroes have to be within an inch and activate the objectives before they become point scoring. So it's just not super valuable to have the ballista sitting back there. He's not holding the objective in the same way as a normal game where it's just more models than your opponent. So the heroes have to be there anyway. So I don't know. So what I did last night, how we played this out was, I had sequitors on each side. I had the relictor and the evocators ready to be teleported. And basically I took all the guns and the ballistas and the adjudicators and put them up in the sky. And I dropped the adjudicators in sort of like a semicircle up front of the objective. And then all the ballistas in this tight little formation behind them. And my thought process, it's a gamble. It's always going to be a gamble. Is if he charges me, he's going to get in the adjudicators and they're gone. They're my sacrificial lamb. If the ballistas survive, because he'll be that close, the ballistas will actually be able to shoot, right? And so he's Khorne, he has to move forward. So there might actually be something that they can shoot. And that was the idea. I didn't put the Celestin Prime in the sky. I started him on the board, I think. Yeah, I did. Because I wanted him to use his scepter bringing down meteor things. He did some damage. Yeah, so basically what we kind of came to a conclusion of is, instead of having the 5 Judicators be the sacrificial lamb, because his Bloodthirster ran up and just decimated everything. I mean, it just took out everything. At the end of turn 1, I think, there was nothing but the Lord Ordinator left alive on the center objective. And he had taken, 3 Doom Bulls and ran them forward and crushed into a unit of 10 Sequitors who buffed their weapons, because there's no point in buffing their shields, really. And he just completely deleted the unit at once, because even though the internet says that Warherd are terrible, they're actually quite amazing if they hit. That's always the problem. So at the end of turn 2, we're just looking at the table and we're like, there's no way. I mean, I had, at the end of the turn 2, I had 10 Sequitors, the Relictor on 1 wound, and the Lord on Griff Charger, who went for a Ride the Winds Etheric grab for this top right objective, and he didn't quite make it, so he was kind of in this weird middle position with a Bloodthirster coming right at him. We're like, there's just not going to happen. So, yeah. So that was pretty much how that went. It's probably how it's going to go tomorrow. What I'm going to do is, instead of putting a unit of 5 Judicators in the sky, put a unit of 10 Sequitors, and basically do the same thing. Make a big semicircle sealed wall, but it'll be a lot more to chew through, giving that ballista bomb a chance to actually shoot something. Again, not a perfect plan, it's a gamble, but honestly those units are so hindered that they're useless to me anyway. So if he's chewing on them, he's not killing anything else in the army, which I guess is probably the best thing I can do. I'm gonna answer some questions here. Let's see. Did the Warherd bull rush you? Yes, they did, and they messed some stuff up. Keep the ballista in the sky and drop it on the point. Problem is, there's 5 points. Ben Connor, this mission sounds terrible. I actually really like the mission. Like, the mission sells me, right? Activate 4 pillars, and the 5th one becomes, it incentivizes us to activate the pillars in our territory. But by doing so, we make a 5th one that is more valuable than the others. And I think that is a cool thing. What I hate is the fact that an entire 2 sections of the game, magic and shooting, are shut down. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Stormcast, they hate mortal wounds? Yeah, they do. What was it? 4 up. A model is slain in the dark. Let's take a look. It is... Yes, on a 4 up, 1 model from that unit is slain. Heroes and monsters suffer D3 mortal wounds. Any units wholly within 12 inches of an activated torch are not affected, which does mean, I didn't think about this. Oh, never mind. Yeah, and once the vault is opened, if you're within 12 inches of that, you don't have to roll for it either. So, yeah. Let's see here. Haven't caught a live show for a while, but I thought you were taking beasts for this year. No, Ryan, I'm sorry. You're a bit behind the times. I completely fell apart on my annual goal. And have joined. What have I done since then? Carriage and Overlords, a bunch of Skaven, and now I have Stormcast because I just decided to embrace my hobby ADD. Omniphage Warheart aren't terrible. They're just inconsistent and comparatively badly too enlightened. It's true. Yep. That was my problem when I played Beast of Chaos, is I'm looking at Warheart, I'm like, it's internally a very poorly balanced book. Let's see. So, that is it for the event pack. Yeah, this is just blank pages. So I feel, let's take a look here, going kind of like 30,000 foot view. I feel okay about the mission 1. You know, this is why I'm taking, so mission 1 is Blood and Glory. It's just have more objectives than your opponent by the end of the battle. I feel good because I have stuff like Ride the Winds Etheric on the general, I have Translocate on the priest guy, and I have a lot of ways to peel off numbers from my opponent's army through various means. So I feel pretty good about that one. I mean, that one's just going to be a very play it by ear. I don't know what I'm facing. The second one I feel very confident about. I love shifting objectives. It's one of my favorite, like I said, missions ever. But there's not much to do for this one. I mean, the shooting thing is really, really cool. Helped me thin out some numbers. It's just the third one. And it's not even the third mission, it's the third Realmscape feature that I'm like, Arr! When I brought down the ballista hammer in the center of the board, Jack had forgotten about the Realmscape feature, and he was like, holy crap, time for payback for all the times that I did the ballista drop to you guys. And it would have been because they would have been in a prime position to snipe out, or at least severely cripple, the Bloodthirster, which is what really shut down the entire game. Like so if you don't know which Bloodthirster was it? It's a big axe, bro. Let's see. Blurred. Really? You're gonna be Valkia the Bloody before the Bloodthirster? Okay, here we go. Let's take a look. Which one is the one with the big hammer? Great Axe. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack against model is 6, each enemy unit within 8 inches of this model suffers a number of wounds on the chart, right? It's Outrageous Carnage. So round 1, he rolls in and straight up cuts a ballista in half, and by doing so triggers Outrageous Carnage. So he took out 2 Sequitors. All the heroes got hurt really badly. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. Yeah, so it was incredible to like see this one creature that I could have reasonably sniped out, or at least crippled down to like several wounds. Yeah, it was real rough. So that's what Jack was able to do turn 1, and after that, the center line just kind of collapsed in on itself, and the game was lost. So hopefully, I play literally anybody but Jack, because I'm not sure what our local scene is like. I don't go to a lot of events, but I'm hoping it's not that. So, talking about my goals for the event, I definitely want to go 2-1. I like doing better than I do badly. 2-1, it seems to be pretty much my, it's certainly my average. I've only been to 2 events, and both of them I went 2-1. Let's see. Like I said, this is the one. I'm hoping this is the one I lose on, because it's going to be uphill if I lose on one of the other ones. Oh no. Yeah. Anyone have any advice for me, or questions about my list? I'll leave that up here for a hot second. Like I said, I am doing Celestial Vindicators just to keep things simple for myself. I know it's not the best one. I think that it'll get better when I have Palador, so I can really buff, because it'll buff the rider and the mount, all their attacks, and that gets pretty nasty pretty quickly. Beyond that, I think that's pretty much it for my tournament readiness. I do have my Remember Me list. Let me see if I can find that here. Give me 1 second. Let me try to find that list. We'll walk through it. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Yeah, so this is the thing we'll be bringing because I just have not played. This will be my 3rd time playing a Stormcast as a real army. So about around, assess if there's combat damage. I do have to make a note to remember that evocators have a spell because I tend to forget that. Can at least buff themselves in the last round. Let's see. Yeah, so I got a whole lot of fun stuff here. Sorry, I'm just reading some comments. Ben Connor, pray you get someone playing Wanderers. Well, we don't have the biggest local scene. There's only going to be 16 people at the event. I know there'll be Gloomspite Gets. I know there'll be Korn, obviously, and Stormcast from me. Maybe an Idenith Deepkin? I don't know. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that's all. That's honestly all I know. I think I'm the only person with Carriage and Overlords locally. Hey, don't forget your Lord Arcanum's Cycle of the Storm. Lord Arcanum's Cycle of the Storm. Let's say start here. Give me a second. Cycle of Storm. Once per turn, a friendly Stormcast journal model slain within 18 inches of this model. Instead of removing the slain model, you can heal 1 wound that has been allocated to it. That is pretty awesome. Thank you. Does it say what phase? Once per turn, a friendly Stormcast journal model is slain within 18 inches of this model. Nope. I'm going to put it down here. Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. Cycle of the Storm. You're a boss, dude. Keyboard needs to be replaced. Let's see. Hopping in the chat. I'm just going to take a look here. Yeah, someone playing Wanderers. That's funny. Let's see. Best bet for Game 3 is getting paired against someone with Carriage and Overlords. I don't think anyone plays them. I don't know. I played a guy at the Mox Team Tourney. He had KO. That's true. Yeah, there was a guy at the Seattle location. I don't know if he's coming out to the Lake Stevens, which is not the not the most convenient thing. Even the disappointing stuff has advantage over better options. Bulgor. Okay, you're talking about Bulgor. I have no idea. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, so that's cool. Cool little ability to keep probably Sequitors or something going. Maybe even Adjudicator if I really need the shooting. Let's see. Zinch probably be bad in the Therm Road feature. Yeah, that's true. Zinch would really honestly struggle with that. It's the 6. That's brutal. The 12 could give you so much more wiggle room. Yeah, that's real rough. I'm not gonna lie. Cause even like the cool spell they give you just for showing up in Olgu, you can't use it. It's 6 inches. Sorry for the Beast of Chaos rant. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It's just, honestly, once I'm done with an army, I, like, delete it from my mental records, and so I just have nothing to contribute. I have to put all of my thought process into whatever I'm currently playing because I already make enough mistakes and forget things. Which is why I have the list thing, so I don't have to. But I must say that I am incredibly enthusiastic about painting even more Stormcast. Usually this is the point where I would sell an army when I have a fully painted list, but I forgot how nice it is to have a fully painted and based army. And like, I haven't had that in a long time. And I don't want to paint Skaven anymore. I don't want to paint KO. I just want to paint my Celestial Vindicators. I'm having so much fun with them. The list that I have is almost entirely because This is what I got in that big lot that I did during the hobby haul. But I am excited. I actually now, through trading and selling stuff and picking up a box, I have enough to do an entire Vanguard army that focuses on Paladors and Hunters. So that's actually super exciting. Let's see. I had a question. How do eBay hauls works? If you're asking how my hobby haul videos work, I basically just get stuff either online or in person, and I show off what I have. If you're asking how do I sell them online, I just take a lot of pictures and post them on eBay. That's how it works. Let's see. The ballista counts as one Stormcast model. Interesting. Which is terrifying when it comes to the Shrouded Storm Vault, because my understanding is only heroes and monsters are immune. So if I took a ballista, which counts as one model, and it's not within 12 inches of a lit fire thing, it's toast on a 4-up. Let's see. Yeah, we're not using the wild Troggoth rules. Every table shattered is with impenetrable gloom. Man, that is just, it's brutal. How does one get an eBay hobby haul? You sign into eBay and you bid for it. I'm still not sure I understand. I just take stuff and I throw it on eBay. And whoever wins the bid gets it. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it as far as this thing goes. Yeah, I'm going to see. One of the things that I'm interested in is if people are going to bring Slaanesh. Because, first of all, it's the newest book, but it is brutal. And so I'm going to look on there for that. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'll be posting lots of pictures to Instagram and Facebook, that kind of stuff. On my page, Cycle of Storm works weirdly. Technically, everything in Sigmar is meant to be done one roll at a time. So if your unit Sector takes 4 wounds, the way Cycle of the Storm would work with this. Yeah, so I would allocate all the wounds. I would allocate, what? How's it worded? When it's slain, instead of removing the slain model, you can heal 1 wound that has been allocated to it. Yeah, so I would allocate 3, and the 4th one when it's slain, then I would do this thing. Yes. Yes, Omniphagia, I just saw your last comment. Yep, totally. Rustbelt Blacksmith Doug, have you selected a second spell for the Lord and Evocators? You also get a second prayer. Well, for the prayer, I have chosen Translocate, because there's a lot of missions that require like bodies around and just having the ability to move. Basically, he's there to throw the Evocators wherever they need to go. Give me 1 second here. Let me grab my book. We'll look at the spells together. Okay. Let's go to the downward cam. Yeah. Make sure everything's looking good. Alrighty. So, honestly, I'll be honest with you. The Stormcast spell list has not gripped me on a deep emotional level. Oh, and for the mount trait, on the Griff Charger, he's going to do the Windrunner, get an extra dice on the ride that wins Etheric, simply because that has come in handy when it comes to snagging objectives. And honestly, none of the other ones are like super terrifying or amazing. Yeah, thank you. Translocate was kind of what I was thinking with that. So as far as the actual spells go, for the Evocators, so they have Invigor or Enlighten, whatever it's called, already. So a few things I was thinking of. So they have one that does Subtract 1 from bravery characteristic of enemy units. I have very little interest in that. The next one is add to 1 to the wound rolls, which could be really good when you're talking about putting them on, say, like Sequitors, because they can buff their weapons, so then they're rerolling all hit rolls, and so they'll be hitting on a 3-up rerollable, wounding on a 2-up. And speed of lightning, you can reroll charge rolls for a unit. All of them are super good, especially if I have the speed of lightning due to themselves, and then the Lord Relictor hucks them across. They have to be outside 9 inches of an enemy, and it gives them a better chance to land the charge. So probably speed of lightning, based on that. As far as the other ones, here's the thing. The problem with the Lore of the Storm, the main spell section, they're a bummer. Basically, they're all just damage dealing spells, and that's fine. But none of them are like super breathtaking. He already has a souped up Arcane Bolt. The Lord Arcanum, instead of doing 1 mortal wound, does D3, and if he hits, I think it's over 10, it does D6 on a casting roll. Last 2 are pretty good. Let's take a look. Chain Lightning. Pick an enemy unit within 24 inches, suffers D3 mortal wounds, then roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the first one. On a 4-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So yeah, you just huck D3, and it has a chance to do an additional 1 to nearby units. That's pretty cool. And Stormcaller, casting value of 7. If cast, roll a dice for each enemy unit on the battlefield. On a 6-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. I've taken that one once, and it did nothing for me. What is interesting, though, and I will say this, that you raise an interesting point, Stormcaller, it doesn't have a spell range. So even though in that last mission, spells have a range of 6 inches, I can still have a chance at hurting every single unit on the table. So that's kind of a super interesting idea. Azurite Halo is not bad for Sequitors. Thank you. This is helpful. Let's see. Pick a friendly Stormcast Eternal unit, hold within 12 inches of the caster to them until your next hero phase. Each time you make an unmodified save roll of 6 for that unit, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been resolved. And rerolls are not a modifier, so if I did that and buff their shields, any of those 6s do a mortal wound back to them. That is a super interesting idea, and I kind of dig it. Let's do that one. So we'll go back here and let's throw that on there. Oh. Stormhost, Celestial Vindicators. Spell, Azurite Halo. Here we go. I don't know why I couldn't see it all of a sudden. And we want a Windrunner. He has to take the artifact from Celestial Vindicators. No, that's the Celestial Warbringers. Vindicators, Storm Rage Blade. And there we go, Lord Relictor. His prayer is Translocation. Yeah, so there we are. That's kind of, I guess, the fuller list. I do have, 4 of the super great mauls, whatever they're called, per blob of 10 Sequitors. So that is legit. Judicators obviously have the Judicator Prime with the exploding arrow. And I think that looks right. Yeah. Okay, let me take a look at the chat here. Sorry, guys. Been here a few minutes ago. How long has that been going? Been going for a little while. Basically, I reviewed all the missions and then went over my list, which is on the screen right now. Oh, and the evocators. I had to put their lore. And we wanted to do speed of lightning, roar of thunder. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and so you should have 5 great maces per 10 Sequitors. So here's the thing about the great maces, okay, on the Sequitors. In the box, you get 2 great maces, and it says, hey, you can also have your hero carry one. And that sucks. Basically, I just... I have some extra great maces I might paint up just to like have, but honestly, I would not be surprised if the next book they trimmed it to be that the unit leader can't take that and can only take the Ghostbuster box with the soul coming out of it. Simply because that is the trend that they have done with all of their model kits as far as you build what's in the kit. That is the legitimate thing. So that's kind of what I'm doing. That's my thought. Also, remember, like I said, everything that I got for these Stormcast was built already. So my options are limited until I start investing more money into buying all new kits. Honestly, I am so emotionally done with Sequitors, you have no idea. But my Hunters will be built out to the brim for sure, as well as the Paladors. And the Evocators, because the unit of 5 I have is all from the Soul War set, but I did grab a box of 5 that I can kit however I want. So let's see. It's because the Soul War Sequitur has a great mace. That's annoying. Oh, that's annoying. That one model type has a great mace. I don't like that. That's annoying. Okay, I'm done. Rant over. That's going to suck for KO. It already sucks for KO. They already have that rule. It came out in General's Handbook and put the faction in eternal rage, which is why they're a great wall decoration. Yeah. So 1960, there's a chance that I get a Triumph, which is nice. Would be really, really nice. Would be really, really nice to get the Triumph so I can, I don't know, do probably something with the Sequitors. All the rerolls would just buff them, make them better. So, yeah. 104 wounds. Celestial Vindicators. I'll keep you posted on how it goes. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing. I'm looking down. We can take a look here at the Vindicators thing. So, they reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly, their units when they made a charge move. That's super good because... Evocators, if they make that 9-inch bomb charge, rerolling 1s on all of them guys, that's nasty. That's just nasty. Let's see. When's the tourney? Tourney is tomorrow all day, 9 to 7. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Rust Belt Blacksmith. I appreciate it. I'll look at those comments before I go to bed tonight and do any last-minute tuning. The other thing is Righteous Hatred. Pick a unit. Within 9 inches of a friendly hero, or wholly within 18 inches of a general, and add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons until the end of that phase. Awesome, love it. Want to see it with my Paladors eventually. And so this is the thing. This is what makes the Lord Arcanum a scary thing, even though he's not typically scary like in any other way. So the combination of when he charges, he gets to reroll hit rolls of 1. In addition to that, the command trait, each time you make an unmodified hit roll of 6 for this general, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack. Awesome. And then the artifact he gets is the Storm Rage Blade. Right? Yeah, we got that one. Pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. At the start of the combat phase, you can add 2 to the attacks characteristic of this weapon until the end of that phase. If you do so, subtract 1 from the save rolls for attacks that target the bearer. So he gives up 1 of his armor and gets 2 attacks. When you put all of those things together, he's brutal because he's coming in there. Let's take a look at his war scroll. I still got that pulled up. So he's coming in with 6 attacks on the Ether Stave, 3 up, rerolling 1s to hit because he's a Celestial Vindicator, and then he can boost himself to get +1 attack. So it could be up to 7 attacks with the Super Duper Hammer. 3 up, rerolling 1s, and these 6s become 1 more additional damage, 3 to wound, -1 rend, D3 damage, D3 +1 if there's a 6 to hit. That's huge. And then that thing also buffs the command ability also buffs with the Grip Charger, who then swings with 4 attacks, 6s or mortal wounds with a rend 2. I don't know. He did real work when I was playing against Jack's Corn. He just gets in there and is super savage. And I just super love it. He's going to be much better with the Lord Aquilor, who's a little more melee focused. This guy, he's pretty magic focused, but our Aquilor is a little bit more melee centric. So anyway, I'm just about to wrap up. This is my tournament prep. Like I said, my goal is to go 2-1, the loss being that third round. Maybe I can squeak it out. It's super matchup dependent. If I fight a melee army, I'm in for a really rough day. If it's someone else who's like mine, where they have, a bit of shooting, a bit of melee, I think that's I don't know. I think that's going to be more of a game. Certainly a fun one when we're both just like grumpy old men complaining about the scenario. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Jack says fake news about the Aquilor being more melee-y. Let's take a look. Let's see. Is the Lord Aquilor more melee-y? He is not. You are correct, my friend. Although his melee weapon is better because it's 2 damage already. But he doesn't have as many attacks. Interesting stuff. So that'll be interesting when... let's see. Yeah, that will be interesting. So friends, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this show just because I need to get everything. I'm going to move my light so it's not blinding the camera. Get everything packed up. But you'll be hearing from me because like I said, tomorrow's the event. I probably won't record tomorrow night because I'll be beat. But on Sunday, I might do something on Sunday. And I have Monday off for Memorial Day here in America. And so I will do something, certainly on Monday. We'll hang out and chat a little bit. So friends, thank you so much for joining me. Look forward to talking to you. And hopefully I come back with like, I don't know, a sportsmanship. One day I want to get a local best painted. We'll see what happens and I'll keep you all posted. So thank you all so much. Happy wargaming.